All right, Panther fans, there are no cigars. This dude went to the store. He bought all the cigars. He had a bonfire in his front yard. And uh, um, if you watched the recap last night, you know how I feel. So let's get Stu's thoughts on this, because if I start talking, I may not shut up. Stu?
Well, I watched. First of all, I was at the game.
Right.
I didn't think things were going so badly until I saw Bob let in a couple of, what I consider, soft goals you should have had.
Yep.
And it got to be the third period, and I think it was like 11 or 10 minutes left. I was so disgusted. I told my son, "Let's get out of here." That's where I got to the point where I'm like, I can't watch any more of this.
Right.
I don't know what has happened to this team, but now I am in worry mode. I agree with so many things of what you said. I mean, we've been harping on this, Ekblad-Weegar split for forever. I just don't know what's happened to Weegar's play. It has deteriorated to the point where he is now a liability.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's attributable to the fact that, they're playing too many minutes. I just, when he's on the ice, and I've been saying this for weeks because I've just been isolating on him. He's not smart with the puck. He's making bad passes. He looks unsteady on his skates.
Right.
I don't know how many times he's fallen. He's just playing horrible.
So,
I think Ekblad is guilty of some of the same. I mean, the one goal that sticks out in my head from yesterday was a goal where both Weegar and Ekblad lost whoever was behind them.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty much easy goal for Edmonton.
Yeah.
And
they had a couple.
Now we got it. I got to just mention that, the whole coaching thing and what you said about his shuffling of, personnel in and out of lines and whatnot. And I put a tweet up last night that said, we didn't have this happening, earlier in the year. The lines were pretty consistent. Everybody was producing. And like, why mess with things?
Right.
I think something has to be done, like soon. Something has to be done. I only wish they could bring Q back. That's who we're missing right now.
Yeah.
We're missing that stabilizing force, and that's Quenneville.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not going to happen.
Right.
So what's the next step? So that's my opening mantra.
So to the point, and we've talked about this before about Weegar and too many minutes. During the timeout, and he'd already been out there for however long they'd been out there. We scored with 4:09 left. He was on the ice, and he'd been out there for at least a minute and a half. During the timeout, they kept the camera on the huddle of players who were huddling around Brunette, drawing up a play, and everybody's sitting there watching Brunette, and this is Weegar. Weegar is just like huffing and puffing and huffing and puffing, and there's Forsling and Montour on the bench, just sitting there, rested, completely ready to go. And so, and this is the second time this week I've been complaining about him leaving guys out there 2 and 3, and last night was almost 4 minutes. They're shortening your bench, and then there's just ignoring the rest of the team. And that, to me, because you asked the question, you can't understand what's happened to his play. I think he's being put out there for too long of shifts. I think the shifts he's taken, he's just out there for frickin' ever. And you see it. I mean, the other game, the Nashville game, he's the one that lost the puck at the blue line when they finally went and got the empty net. But he'd been out there for almost 2.5 minutes. And then again yesterday, you're watching him and Ekblad. And, Ekblad is more, he's like in the zone, so he's not running back and forth as much. But Weegar's kind of like, I'm in, I'm out. Weegar's the guy that's kind of got to stay back. but he just looks absolutely wiped the hell out at the end of games, and he's breathing heavy and breathing heavy. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, are you going to just throw him back out there? Throw him back out there. And so I think that that's a big part of it. And and then the line shuffling. I'm all for, you get to the third period, things aren't working out. You want to move a guy, you want to change one line, change two lines, flip a couple of guys. That's kind of what Q used to do. But I mean, we're starting games and getting goals, and he's just flipping guys all over the place. I mean, there's no lines left by the end of the games. I mean, against Nashville, it was Barkov Huberdeau with Marchment, and yesterday with Barkov Huberdeau and Vetrano. And so you're screwing up the third line, which was our best line for quite some time. In case, as soon as we started screwing with that line, they stopped producing. And these were the things that we talked about when Brunette first took over, that we were a little bit worried about. We're like, but then you kind of want to give him a chance to get settled in, and then all of a sudden we started scoring 6 goals every night. But now we're in that time of the season where teams aren't going to just sit back there loose. They're going to pressure the puck guys. They're going to pressure when our defensemen have the puck, Ekblad and Weegar. Now this is the time of year those guys, other teams are going to pressure them. And they are prone to turnovers when they've got to get split up so that you've got Ekblad, and if he turns something over, you got Forsling good to go.
Exactly.
And if you got Weegar up,
but exactly.
It's
yep, I'm good.
Yeah. So it's just frustrating because we don't want to be the guys that freaked out and overreacted after three games. So on the one hand, there's that, you know what I mean? But these issues aren't going to go away. And then the worry, like you said, I'm worried now because, and we haven't even gotten to Bobrovsky. If this is what Brunette's going to do in the tight games in the playoffs, we ain't getting out of the first round.
That's what I'm worried about. I told you last night, I'm worried that we're actually going to lose the division. We're going to end up playing Tampa. Tampa's going to beat us in 6 games, and the dream season's going to go down the toilet and go down in history as the year that could have been that wasn't.
Now, the only positive to that would be that would almost assuredly get Brunette fired.
Well,
I mean, I'm reaching here.
Yeah,
I'm reaching.
Who cares at that point?
Well,
so
what I mean
I guess the question is, because I just checked the standings. Believe it or not, Colorado's got 82 points. We're stuck at 75. We're still in first.
Right.
Believe it or not. We have
yeah.
Tampa's got 3 games in hand on us, but technically we're still in first.
Right.
I mean, Colorado is just like
a machine.
I mean, it's going to take a miracle to beat that team.
Yeah.
So and I still think we have the best chance of doing that, but
yeah,
it's like, what happened to the team that was winning 3 games in a row a week ago?
Right. Well,
what happened to that team? I mean, they come home, we're rolling. The
other thing there, and you touched on this. I mean, especially like the 2 goals last night, those are saves Bob's been making. Like the delayed penalty that Weegar took the penalty was a delayed penalty, but Bob's been making those saves. So if Bob makes that save and we kill the penalty, our PK has been good, then it's a whole new thing. It's a whole different game. So it's like this ridiculous combination. And I said it last night, and I slept on it. And you and I talked about this a lot over the summer with Bobrovsky. We both figured it out basically that he needs a guy behind him to push him. And I wish I know the media guys don't watch my videos, so and I don't want to call out somebody on Twitter because it looks bad, but I just wish one of these guys would ask, hey, coach, What's going on with Spencer Knight? What is he coming back? Is Johansson? Nobody's asking this question.
I
And
just don't understand. I don't understand, other than maybe sending him down for a couple of games during this break to give him
Right.
some playing time. What was the logic in sending Knight down? It's not like he stunk up the house. Why did they bring this kid in, Johansson? Okay. And now it's like, if they bring Knight up, what do they do with him? I mean,
Right.
it makes no sense, that particular move.
Right.
Obviously, we've seen, I mean, that goal happened that you're talking about happened right in front of me. My son said it was a really good shot. And my answer to that was that shot should have been stopped.
Yeah.
Whether Bob should have came out more and cut the angle off, or whatever he was doing weeks ago when he was unstoppable.
Right.
He certainly doesn't look unstoppable right now. And I think the first move that they make, that Zito makes, is getting Knight back up here, waving that guy. All right, so we take a loss.
I mean,
It's
we
like
picked
buying
him
a
up.
stock,
Yeah.
selling the stock at a loss, and but at least we're cutting all losses. We
Right.
can't have this guy come in one more game. So what is he
Right.
doing? He's taking space on the bench. They got to get Knight back up there, and if he has to play some games, so be it. I mean,
I know.
it's like frustrating because a week ago Bob was playing, Vezina Bob hockey, and now he's playing first two Panther years hockey.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's what I said last night. These two games are eerily familiar to what we saw last season, where in the last two seasons, where it was like, it's not like ridiculously bad. He's making good saves, but then he's letting in 2 goals a game that you're shaking your head at, that you can't win hockey games when you let those in. And so I think, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm just kind of in that stunned space where I'm just like a fighter that had.
Yeah, me too.
I got the points 8 rounds in, and then he clocks me in round 9, and I'm like, oh, wobbly, like, what the hell just hit me? That's where I'm at right now.
And our defense, what's happened to our defense to allow these goals to be happening?
Right. Well,
So
and that too. I mean, I don't want to sit and just make it like the Bash Ekblad and Uyghur show, right? Me personally.
Another thing, Uyghur took a really bad penalty.
Yeah.
And 17 seconds later, Edmonton scored.
Yeah. I mean,
that stuff can't happen.
It was interference. It wasn't even. It was stupid interference too.
It was stupid interference. Yeah, it was blatant, obvious.
Right. Yeah.
That was my text to you. Obvious interference. I mean, you can get away with it sometimes when it's not so obvious. The refs sometimes let you slide. But
I mean, we can slide with Ekblad and Uyghur's mistakes if Bob is Vezina Bob. We can slide, but if both of those things are going to happen, it can get ugly quick, because this time of year, if your goalie is going to allow 4 goals a game, the other team is not always going to allow us to get 4 goals a game.
That's the key. That's the key.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if Bob gives up 4, as long as we get it 5.
Right.
And we've been doing that all year, and it's not happening now.
No.
And that that's where the worry comes in.
Yeah.
What happened to our offense is not producing like it was.
That is, you can quote me on that, but because that's how I feel about the line changes. It's just I don't understand.
So that comes now down to what's Zito thinking and what's Zito going to do about it.
Right.
I mean,
to me,
does he roll the dice, get rid of some assets? And I'm talking about maybe somebody that we didn't even think about,
right,
who might be a good asset and be a surprise that we got rid of, to get a solid, top 4. I'm saying top 2 defensemen.
Yeah.
And again, I wouldn't mind bringing in, even though they're older, Klingberg, and a name came in my head this week only because he set the record for most games by a defenseman. I wouldn't mind bringing Chara in. How do you like them apples?
Where the hell are you going to put them? I mean,
you imagine Chara and Gudis? No, just kidding.
Jesus.
No, but we need a guy like Klingberg or
well, where my mind is starting to kind of go here, and I'm just hoping and praying that Zito's in the same space. If you have a toddler and they're messing up the room because they're splaying their toys all over the place, what you do two things. You get rid of half their toys, and then you get them a toy they're really going to love and they focus on, and suddenly the room stays clean. Brunette's got too many guys, and he doesn't have a guy to stick up there like that's the guy that goes with Barkov. You don't screw with that. So he's got this roulette wheel of Rutrano and Mammon and Tippett and Achari and Hornquist and whoever the hell he wants. He has too many toys, and you don't know what to do with them all. He's making a mess. So you send a couple of them kaputs somewhere else, and you get a guy that this is not a question. This guy is on the top line. That's the kind of player he is. And everybody sits down and shuts up, and those are the lines. And you've got a couple of depth guys if somebody gets hurt. Not if somebody doesn't play good for 5 minutes. And here I go, I'm ranting again. But I think that's
I'm not laughing at anything. No, you can do all the jokes and laugh all you want. I'm sorry, bud. No, this is a serious video today.
No, I know.
There ain't no laughing today in this whole video.
No.
Putting Marchman on the top line and taking him off that third line, which has been pretty consistent, was a fucking bonehead move. Okay?
Yeah.
Now I realize that, Mammon's not working, Vetrano's not working, putting Duclair up there is a mistake, leaving, whatever. But the guys that they have to work with to put on that first line, they're not working.
No,
so that tells me that Zito now has to go out and get a Claude Giroux.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying it might cost us, it might cost us.
You're right.
But to save the season, again, do you put your chips in right now and, make that gamble?
We can't sign everybody anyway.
We got to be all in.
Right.
Seriously, again, this is the year. We got to be all in. The window with, Barkov and Huberdeau, and I mean,
yeah, no,
I don't know what happens if we don't do it this year. Then what happens next year? Because then we have psychological scars from blowing probably the best chance we've ever had to win the cup. This is the team. I keep saying it, but now we've gotten to the point where some changes have to be made as far as, the changes that Bruno has been making. They're not working.
No.
And he can't keep messing up to find the solution to the top line.
Right.
He can't mess with the other lines.
Right. And that's where we are. And
that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And when I saw Marchment move up to the top line, I'm like, what a stupid move that was.
I know. So and then the other part, and you kind of touched on this. Going back to the summer when I did the video where I said Bobrovsky is usually really good those years after he's had not that many games the year before, which kind of speaks to he does have a tendency to get worn out a little bit, and that would also explain his playoff record. Okay, so now here we are. He's played a lot of games this year. It's towards the end of the season, and now we're watching him start to look tired.
Yep.
You got to get Spencer friggin' Knight back up, get him some games, because God help us, if this is what Bob is going to be, you may as well throw Spencer Knight out there in the playoffs, because at least he's going to be fresh. And you've got to have a backup that's ready to go if you're going to be in the playoffs. If Knight's going to be the guy, you got to get him back up and just split, 2-1, like at the start of the season, and get him going. I know he's in the AHL and he's playing. But if they're not going to go, somebody on the Twitter mentioned yesterday, getting Marc-Andre Fleury. That a lot of
That's not happening.
On one hand, I agree with you, and on the other hand, that'll light a fire under Bob's ass.
Listen, it's a scary thought to think about it, but you know, all the guys on the NHL network say Fleury's going to Colorado.
Jesus. That's
and he wants to go to Colorado.
Well,
That's the team.
I mean, if Colorado, I'm sorry, if Colorado gets Fleury and Giroux, what the hell are we worried about? You know what I mean? But
listen, I don't know what they're worried about, you know, releasing this guy. Like I said, it's probably gonna, you know, just cost them some money that they invested, whatever. It was a gamble that didn't work. The guy is basically a stick of wood, sitting on the bench. So what's the point? What's the point of having him on the roster?
Right.
So the first move they make today is they waive this guy and bring up Knight.
Right.
Have Knight here, ready to go. We got I don't know when the next game is. I know
Thursday.
The next game when?
Thursday. We've got a few days
and
off.
then we got Saturday. I'm going as the Detroit game.
Okay.
So, you know, and then, you know, basically what I think they should probably do is, you know, back and forth with them.
Yeah. Or, you know,
Knight plays one night, Bob plays the other night.
Yeah, somebody, because now we got, I mean, and look, if that fixes Bobrovsky, then it fixes Bobrovsky. And great, perfect. You know what I mean? He's either A, tired, or B, needs somebody on his ass behind him. And we need to find, and Spencer Knight will solve, he will solve that riddle for us, you know. And yeah, God, I feel stupid because after the road trip, I'm sitting here and I'm like, give Brunette a contract, and we're talking about him for coach of the year, and I'm talking about how I'm praising him for how they're handling the goalie situation, because the assumption was, oh, that was so smart. Let him get some AHL games during the break. All right, the road trip is only 3 games. Bob can handle that. And then you bring Knight back, and we're good to go. And then they pulled this shit this week. And like I said in the recap of the game, I didn't see, it's like this stopped making sense. This doesn't make any sense anymore. You know, it went from that was a great idea to really stupid, really fast.
Yeah, we're all shaking our heads, like wondering what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Why is Knight still down in the AHL?
Right, and nobody
unless they know something we don't, and I don't know what that would be. I mean, he had some bad games, obviously, but we still know he's a lot better than this other kid they got.
The only thing that, I mean, in this, watching the game yesterday and knowing that they played Johansson and knowing that Knight's in the AHL makes me, I'm starting to get a little twitchy that they're going to bring in another, like a Drieger type of solid backup, regular NHL, you know, James Reimer, Drieger type, and that's who we're going to go into the playoffs with as our backup, and Knight's going to stay down. I'm a little bit concerned about that.
And the name I've seen on Twitter is Varlamov.
Right. Yeah. Well, then there you go. I mean, that's what it's starting to look like to me, because that's the only thing that makes sense with leaving Knight down this far and actually giving Johansson a game, is that they just are biding their time until they can pick up whoever they're going to go into the playoffs with it as backup. Now, of course, as soon as I publish this video, Spencer Knight will be recalled, and that theory will be out the window, and I'm fine with that. But just this last week has just been, like you said, we're just even it's this weird space on Twitter where everybody that normally disagrees, we're all kind of like shaking our head like, I don't know what's going on either, man. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I said what I said last night in the recap. And that's it, man. You know,
the thing that bothers me most, I mean, the goalie situation, you know, there's a pretty simple fix to that. Other than Bob playing better, I'm talking about, you know, trying to keep Bob from getting burned out, which, you know, we all are kind of in agreement that it's starting to look that way. But they got to do something with Uyghur and Ekblad. Everybody's saying the same exact thing. What is Bruno waiting for? I mean, here's my thing. After that interference penalty and quick goal, I said Frank was with me in the suite, and I turned around to him and I said, Frank, Uyghur's not exempt from being benched. That's
Right.
the one thing that I don't see Bruno doing is bench guys
Yeah.
when they mess up
Yeah.
royally.
Yeah.
Uyghur should have been benched for the whole second. It was 8 minutes left, I think, in the period. He should have been benched as a lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, you screw up that bad by taking a penalty, which cost us a goal. Which at the time I said, Frank, that goal might cost us the game, and it ended up costing us the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a turning point in that game.
Yeah. No doubt.
Okay, because then they scored again.
Yeah.
And then then it was 4-2.
Yeah.
But he should have been benched and he wasn't.
Right. Yeah, Q used to do that. Yep. Yep.
So Quenville would have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt.
And then again, how many games, how many times are we going to see that combo screw up where somebody coughs up the puck, somebody doesn't cover a man, goals are being scored time and time again because this combination is just not,
Well, they're both trying to pinch too much. And then I think the combination of, we've talked about this even weeks ago. I was watching Uyghur in one of his games where he looked tired at the end. And he because he's so aggressive. I mean, he's more aggressive than Ekblad, to be honest with
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
He's constantly going into the zone. And then, okay, so it doesn't, on paper, it doesn't look like it cost us anything. But what nobody is watching is Uyghur's now running wind sprints from behind our net all the way, hauling ass and racing back to cover for his guy back behind, the other way. So that I really feel like the combination of those two guys, their styles being so similar, and is what's exhausting Uyghur and affecting his
and
play.
both being right-handed shots. I still say that's a factor. You got to look at that. Without a doubt, Forsling is our best defenseman. Okay, and I'm talking best defenseman.
Yeah.
No, he's not putting up 10, 15 goals, whatever. He's a defenseman.
Right.
He knows what to do.
Right.
On the defense.
Right.
He knows, he makes the right decisions with the puck. He doesn't play around trying to stick handle, two guys on the opposition. He banks it off the boards. He does that high flying, like flip out, whatever it is.
The alley-oop.
The alley-oop. He concentrates on defense. They got to move Forsling up to the top D.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with him. Hopefully,
that's the first move that Brunette makes. He moves Forsling with Ekblad.
Yeah.
Okay, and he moves Uyghur back with Gudis because Gudis is basically another stay-at-home defenseman.
Right.
So
Uyghur
can do his thing offensively.
Yeah.
Because we got the big guy back there.
Right. Exactly.
So that's just it's common like
sense.
I said, how come he's not seeing what I'm seeing and what everybody else is seeing? Because I know people on Twitter are saying the same exact thing. I mean, I've been saying this since the beginning of the year that I didn't think, and it's because they're good friends and they get along good and blah blah blah. They know where each other's. You know what? That's enough bullshit. It's costing us goals and it's costing us games. And I don't care how good friends they are and how much telepathy they have. It ain't working. Time to make a change.
It ain't working. No, I know. And look,
that's what I'm fired up about right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bob situation is definitely concerning.
Right.
But I'm more concerned about this combination.
Right.
That he refuses to break up. He'll break up a forward line.
Right.
He'll break up Marchment, Reinhardt, and Lundell, the most consistent line in the last month, whatever.
Yeah.
He has no qualms about doing that, but he leaves Uyghur and Ekblad, together.
That's the perfect point. That's the
Makes
perfect
no
point.
sense.
No, I know. So, all right.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah,
man.
that's it.
It's really, really disgusting. 2 out of the 3 games we could have won. I'm not counting the game with that Johansson. That was a throwaway game. I told you that on the recap today, and you know, whatever. Did we do a recap? I don't even remember.
No, I just did that little 5-minute video.
Yeah, so that game basically we threw away 2 points, putting in you know, a scrub, putting in a goalie that had no right being in playing with us.
No.
Okay, but the Nashville game, we're up 2 goals. I mean, we should have won that game.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, we should have won last night.
We were up last night. We were up yesterday.
We were outplaying, and we outplayed Edmonton. The first period was all Panthers.
Yeah, yeah.
Connor McDavid was doing nothing. Draisaitl was doing nothing. All right. We had a beautiful goal by Lundell. Frankie between the legs, beautiful. Back pass was a thing of beauty. And, you know, we looked like we were cruising.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that Hornquist thing, you know, which, you know, I didn't think that was a penalty at the time, but, you know, I'm watching it, you know, as it's happening. Right. And I'm watching Hornquist. You know, the ref's got his arm up and Hornquist is yelling at the referee as they're skating back in the play. And it's like he forgot about the fact that there's a play going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so he's not skating back, you know, to get back into play. He's busy arguing with the ref. Next thing you know, Edmonton, you know, the kid Ryan beats Bob with a freaking, you know, high glove, you know, with a high glove shot.
The kid had 4 career goals and he had a hat trick last night. That might be an exaggeration, but I heard something about he had only had 4 goals. So maybe it was 4 all season or something like that. I wasn't paying too close of attention at that point. Well, let's hope. And this is just to give a few people, let's hope we come back in a week and you and I look Cocoa Puffs and crazy and like we just overreacted and everything is fine. I'd be okay with that. But I don't think so. So
Eric, if it is, it's a temporary fix. What I'm thinking about is what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, you and me both.
When we're facing a hungry team,
right?
You know, eventually, unless Tampa does a whole, you know, total breakdown and they lose their series, even if we play them in the first round, play them in whatever. They're going to make mincemeat out of us. And who knows, some of these other teams. We haven't even played Toronto yet.
No, we haven't played.
I mean, Toronto is Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some games where they're unstoppable, and then I've seen some games where they're crap. So all I know is when you get to the playoffs, when you're officially in the playoffs, everything changes.
Yep.
Mentalities change.
Yeah.
And you know,
I know.
You know, everything gets heightened, you know, gets you know, whatever the
importance of everything
just
amplified.
goes up, you know, goes up. And I'm not really feeling comfortable today about, you know, all year I've been saying this is our team, we're gonna win, blah blah blah. You know, the cup's ours. I mean,
well, you still need all the pieces.
Where I thought there's like no, it's not in doubt. I'm starting, doubt has now creeped in.
Yes.
That I don't know if we can win the cup with this team, the way it is and the way it's being handled.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is the way it's being handled, because I you know, I've been saying it, we're short the one guy, we're short the one winger. And that's been for a little while now. Just here you've got Barkov. And, you know, okay, it was great that we found Verhaeghe on the scrap heap for him, but we haven't put anybody else with him, you know, on a consistent basis. And when we're sitting here talking about what we're talking about, and, you know, we got a coach whose answer to this situation, we're going to go see Jameson's tweet and it's Owen Tippett back on the top line and give him another go around. You know what I mean? It's like, we got to have to, the trust now has to go to Zito to make the right move. I think that's we're going to have to trust Zito to make the right move. And so far he's pressed all the right buttons.
And he needs to, if he's going after certain players, he needs to make those moves now before they're gone to other teams.
Yes.
That's what I'm afraid of. That he's, you know, he's not going to use the word procrastinating, but he's not making the move today when it needs to be made, and thinking that, oh, those guys will still be available in another week or two.
Right.
And I got news for you. If he's looking to get a Klingberg or a Chicklin or whoever, Giroux, I'm afraid that he might wait a day too long and they'll be gone. And then what do you do?
Right. Right.
So
Well,
the time for action is now, not March 21st.
and he's got to decide what we're doing at goaltender. The backup
Yep.
goal. He's got to.
Well, I said to you, he should be on the phone with Knight today saying,
Yeah.
we got you on the 1 o'clock flight.
Right. Yep.
That's an easy thing. And we're waiving this
Right.
Johansson guy. Good, an experiment that didn't work out. Okay.
Right.
No big whoop other than the fact that we gave 2 points away. Let's not make it 4.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was all sunshine and rainbows, but it is what it is.
So listen, you guys, I would love to get some feedback from you all on what we talked. This is an important video. So if you're watching, please comment. I want to see what you guys have to say. I want to obviously, if you have different opinions on what we said, that's fine. I'm open. I want to hear, if you guys have ideas on how to fix this thing that we didn't say. But I'm just like, I'm at a loss right now. And just like, I'm shaking my head going, we won 3 pretty good games on the road.
Yeah.
And we come back and this is how we respond.
It's I got nothing. I got nothing left.
Yeah.
Let's just cross our fingers. All right. Appreciate everybody's support. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Today is Sunday, so I'm gonna go spend the rest of the day crying in the corner, and then the next game is Thursday. I'm sure we'll be back.
Yeah, we got 4 days off, right?
Yeah, we'll have some stuff going on.
No, I mean we got 4 days off to kind of sit back, recharge, whatever. But I really hope we wake up one day and hear about a move that's been made, even if they make one move.
Right.
You know what I mean? Obviously, but the thing is, again, okay, so let's just say we bring in that left-handed top 4 defenseman. Where's he going? Is he going?
I should put him with
top? I mean, let's just say hypothetically we get Klingberg. There's a veteran defenseman, left-handed shot.
Yeah.
Guy I've always really liked. Do you put Klingberg up with Ekblad?
Honestly, I still keep Forsling with Ekblad and Uyghur with Gudis and put Klingberg with Montour. And
Klingberg, okay.
I mean,
for me, the whole
once you bring in a guy, Carlson's going to sit. Once you bring in a guy, Carlson's going to sit. So now at that point, you're either putting Klingberg or Gudis on that bottom pair.
I mean, I'm even thinking you could put Klingberg with Uyghur.
Right, and then you'd have a Gudis Montour bottom pair. Yeah, I mean, you could work it either way.
I'm just curious to see what the thinking is, what the strategy is, as far as bringing in. I mean, you would think you bring in a guy like that,
right?
He's going to be your top line, top pair D, which means you split up Ekblad and Uyghur. If you don't split Ekblad and Uyghur up, what's the point of even bringing anybody in?
Right.
That's my opinion.
Right.
What's the point of bringing a new guy in if they're not going to split up those 2 guys?
And that's where we have to hope Zito is gonna. Zito has got. No offense to Coach Brunette, but he's a first-time coach, so he's kind of like a toddler playing with all the toys in the room. And
does Zito tell Burnett, I want those guys split? See, is there
right.
Is there boundaries between the GM and the coach that the GM really doesn't get involved with telling the coach what to do? Well, I know that wouldn't happen with Q.
No, but that interim tag might have something to do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. So, like I said last night, and we'll end it here. There's smarter people than me running the running the organization, because I would have done give him a contract after the road trip. But that's why I'm in my basement talking with puppets, and we're hoping Bill Zito knows what he's doing. So, all right, guys, we really appreciate.
Well, he's the one guy. He's the one guy that hasn't let us down.
Exactly.
He's the one guy that knows what he's doing. I mean,
Exactly.
he hasn't hit a foul ball yet,
No.
other than bringing in this kid Johansson.
Yeah, and that makes sense. The thing with Johansson makes sense if the plan was to get another backup goalie and not have Knight be the guy. If Knight's supposed to be the guy, what the hell are we doing? And that's all I have to say about that. So.
Yeah, well, that's that gives you something to think about that maybe we didn't think about before. I mean,
right.
What was the reason for bringing this kid in and sending Knight down?
Yeah. And that's where my mind is at.
So anyway, that's just stuff, like I said, I want to see some comments here. So maybe you guys could answer that question, because I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a good day.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Good, y'all.
Thanks.